Why Ukraine's 73 drone attack failed so badly, probing flaws in intelligence, coordination and technology that allowed Russia to blunt what was meant to be a decisive swarm strike. Ukraine deployed its largest drone swarm to date in an attempt to overwhelm defenses, but Russian forces appeared prepared with layered countermeasures that blunted the attack's intended impact. 73 Ukrainian drones descended on Russian targets during the night, igniting multiple large fires that engulfed oil depots and factory sites, though the extent of lasting damage remains under assessment. What was billed as Ukraine's biggest nighttime attack yet met stiff resistance, as Russia's integrated air defense network appears to have held strong and prevented the swarm from achieving strategic surprise. Russian defenders claimed victory overnight after intercepting many incoming drones, even as some strikes sparked infernos in Stavropol and Tver that local authorities raced to contain. Meanwhile, President Trump has publicly signaled approval for Ukraine to begin producing Patriot air defense components domestically, a move that could reshape Kyiv's long-term air defense capabilities. Both Russian and Ukrainian authorities reported overnight drone strikes, each side issuing competing claims about who launched the attacks and the scale of damage, creating a fog of conflicting accounts that analysts are still trying to verify. Russia's defense ministry announced it had destroyed 73 Ukrainian drones during the overnight operation, a claim that highlights Moscow's portrayal of a decisive defensive success while independent confirmation remains limited. Russian forces said they intercepted and shot down hostile drones over multiple regions including Belgorod, Bryansk, Kursk and around Moscow, indicating a widespread defensive response across the western border and adjacent areas. Russian authorities reported drone activity over Belgorod, where air defenses were activated as local officials assessed potential damage and disruptions. In Bryansk, air raid alerts sounded and military units engaged suspected hostile drones while emergency crews stood by for any reports of strikes. Kursk saw defensive responses to incoming drones, with local commanders announcing interceptions and investigators monitoring the situation for incidents. Kaluga experienced heightened aerial warnings as defense systems tracked and engaged multiple targets, prompting precautionary measures for residents. Authorities in Novgorod reported drone detections and precautionary responses, with civil defense teams placed on alert to respond to any fallout. Tver was among the regions where drones were reported, and local emergency services rushed to contain fires at hit sites while officials tallied damage. Oriol witnessed anti-drone operations as regional forces claimed to have intercepted threats and maintained readiness across key installations. The Leningrad region activated its air defenses against suspected incursions, coordinating military and civilian agencies to secure critical infrastructure. Rostov reported engagements with hostile drones near populated and industrial areas, with authorities working to verify the scale of any strikes. The wider Moscow region experienced drone alerts and interception efforts, underscoring the reach of the overnight operation toward the capital's outskirts. In the Krasnodar region, officials said air defenses responded to aerial threats while local teams prepared for potential emergency responses. Crimea reported multiple detections and defensive actions, as authorities focused on protecting military sites and ports from drone attacks. The Sea of Azov area also saw reported drone activity, raising concerns about maritime security and possible impacts on shipping and coastal facilities. Amid the clashes, Ukrainian officials reported that Russian forces launched 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles alongside a large wave of roughly 94 strike drones, signaling a combined long-range and swarm attack designed to overwhelm defenses. Ukrainian air defense units said they successfully shot down or suppressed 72 of the incoming Russian drones, a claim that underscores Kyiv's defensive resilience even under intense multi-axis pressure. Despite interceptions, 2 ballistic missiles and 19 drones struck targets across Ukraine, hitting a total of 13 locations and causing damage that local authorities are still cataloging. Falling debris from intercepted and downed aerial targets also caused damage, with Ukrainian officials reporting that fragments and wreckage affected 4 additional locations beyond the primary impact sites. The Russian operation remained ongoing into the morning, with Ukrainian controllers warning that several unmanned aerial vehicles were still operating inside Ukrainian airspace and being tracked by defense forces. At the same time, U.S. President Donald Trump publicly offered to grant Ukraine the right to produce Patriot interceptor missiles domestically, a proposal that could accelerate Kyiv's long-term air defense autonomy. Trump said he conveyed this offer directly to President Volodymyr Zelensky during discussions on the sidelines of Wednesday's NATO summit in Ankara, framing it as a bilateral commitment discussed at high diplomatic levels. He added that, despite announcing the plan, he had not yet notified the principal U.S. defense manufacturers, Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, about the proposed transfer of production rights, leaving questions about implementation and industry coordination.
Talked a little while, and we speak on occasion by phone. We had a great talk the other day, I think, very positive. And I think we have some very good stories to tell, what's going on. He wants to see a settlement, and I think President Putin wants to see a settlement. And usually that means a settlement, but who knows, this is a tough one. So one of the things we're going to be talking about is we're going to give a license to you to make Patriots. That's pretty cool, right?
Very.
This way you can't complain that we're not giving them enough. I say, make them yourself. We haven't informed the company of that yet, but that'll work out all right. You know, I'm sure they'll be thrilled. But you know, they'll be able to do it. You'll be able to figure that out. Most countries couldn't do that.
Yeah.
If I said that to most countries, they wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But this is a very ingenious group, and what I like about that, it's a defensive situation as opposed to an offensive. Do you have a question for President Putin, please? Do you have a question for President Putin?
Yes.
Not Zelensky. Yeah, what would you like to ask him? Because I'm going to ask him that question.
I have a question. Last year you called Russia a paper tiger, referring that they're not doing that.
Who did I call?
I'm from Telegraph UA, Ukrainian media.
No, give us a question, not for Zelensky. Give us a question for Putin.
Why is he attacking
Yeah.
Because
Ukrainian
I'm
cities
speaking
and he
to him
wants
today.
peace?
Yeah.
Putin,
Why is he
Give me a
attacking
good, hard
Ukrainian
question.
cities who wants peace?
when will he end this war?
That's a
the
good question. I don't think I've ever asked him that question. I'm going to ask him
Please
that
do.
question.
Status
By the way,
of the-
I will tell you, though, he's going to tell you that he wants it ended as soon as he can end it.
Do you
He wants it
believe that?
ended. He wants to end it soon. And I ask him, and we talk. I talk to him a lot. I talk to him a little bit less, but the relationship is very good. But I talk to President Putin a lot. He wants to end the war.
What's the
A lot of people don't believe that. But one of the things that I talked to him about was, where would you want to meet? And he said, ideally in Moscow. I said, you're not going to meet in Moscow. You know, it just doesn't work. You can't do that. But he'll meet, and Zelensky's going to meet, and something's going to happen that's going to be positive. And I hope it's going to happen soon, because they have to, number one, lives, but number two, building your country, because it's got a tremendous future, in my opinion. President Putin said, I would love to meet in Moscow. And I said, I don't think, I have to put myself in his position. I don't know that he'd go to Moscow. Maybe he would. Would you go to Moscow?
It's difficult. There are a lot of Ukrainian drones there. That's right. It's dangerous.
He doesn't want to be hit by a drone.
Europe.
No, it's hard. It's hard to go to Moscow. I think he'll build a great country. I think he's going to build it. We have a little stake in that country, because we have some land in that country, but we have minerals. It's among the wealthiest. It's among the best land anywhere in the world for rare earth. And we have some,
Russia is bombing my
we have
city
some rare
again.
earth. I look forward to taking advantage of it at the right time.
Mr. President,
We've actually developed a good relationship. It's hard to believe, right? From the Oval Office to now, I think we've developed a very good relationship. And
And this is not the end.
no, this is going to be the beginning, maybe.
Yeah.
Just the beginning. And the country has a lot of future. It has such great land, such great assets, such great people.
I think that's one of the dynamics that's changed in this war over the last few months, and that is that the Russians are finding it more difficult to defend their own airspace. And what we hope that means is that it's going to create the space now to negotiate the end of this war.
It's an escalation, but it's also an escalation that can help lead to an end. We just had our NATO meeting, and it was a great meeting. You probably heard it was a great meeting. There was a lot of love in that room, a lot of unity, and I don't think it could have been. Marco, what do you think? It couldn't have gone much better. Do you have a feeling as to what you just saw?
Very positive. A lot of unity, strength in that unity.
Yeah, really good. Scott, what do you think?
Yes, sir. All the Europeans, they attributed you to saving NATO, and they want to do what they're supposed to do and do the right thing.
There was something very special.